So, you guys wanted another one. Well, get ready, because you're going to get it. What's going on, guys? We are finally back with another Walking Dead theory video, and this one is on what if Larry lived in episode 2. Big shout out to King Julian the Loneliest Wolf for recommending this video. In order for this to be possible, Lee would have to be able to stop Kenny from throwing the salt lick onto Larry's head. Lee would struggle with Kenny until he manages to knock him out. Not too long after, Larry regains consciousness. Lily is relieved to see her father alive, while Larry is trying to figure out what happened while he was out. After Lily tells him that Lee resuscitated him, he looks at him in complete disbelief, shocked that Lee would even think to help him. The plot would progress very similar to canon, only Lily goes with Lee this time to ambush Danny, while Larry sits in the meat locker with Kenny and Clementine. If you choose to kill Danny, Larry will understand and later on say that Lee should have given him the honor to do it himself. If you choose to spare Danny, Larry will simply nod in favor of Lee's actions. Kenny would regain consciousness and rush out to Katjaa and Duck to stop Andy. Skipping straight to the final fight, Andy starts dragging Lee to the electric fence when suddenly, Larry shoots him in the shoulder instead of Lily, knocking him to the ground. Lee would go on to punch Andy's face in a fit of rage, until Larry tells him he's had enough. The group leaves the dairy and Andy to his fate. Larry would stop Lee for a moment. Although he doesn't give him a formal apology, he does tell Lee that he might have been wrong about him, and that after everything he put him through, he never expected Lee to go out of his way to help him. He offers Lee a handshake as a sign of his new trust for him. Fast forwarding to episode 3, after Lee and Kenny get back from the drugstore, whether or not you shoot the woman in the street, Larry won't get mad since he only cares about protecting his daughter and the group. When Lily tells Lee that there's a traitor in the group, Larry wants to interrogate everyone, but Lily stops him as she feels like it'll be too much of a strain on his heart. However, things would escalate quickly once the bandits show up. The scenario would play out similar to the original story, with Duck being bitten in the process. Lily points out Ben and Carly, like in canon, but Larry is furious to the point where he grabs Ben by his clothes, threatening him to talk. Ben is beyond terrified of Larry and confesses immediately that he was the rat. This changes everything. Kenny would stop the RV with the intention of killing Ben. Larry votes in favor of Kenny, but the rest of the group is conflicted. Carly votes against it. Lily supports her father despite not agreeing entirely. If you vote in favor of Kenny and Larry, Ben will be killed by Kenny's hand by way of gunshot. If you vote against them, Larry will side with you to keep him alive. However, this would be the last time we would see Ben with the group, as he would be left on the side of the road to fend for himself, preventing Carly, or Doug depending on your choices, from ever being killed. The plot would progress similar to the original story, with some minor changes involving the train scenario, as well as the meetup with Chuck. The different scenario would involve the loss of Kenny's son. Before Duck would be put out of his misery, Larry would walk up to Kenny and apologize to him for wanting to end his son's life when they first met, not realizing the experience would be just as heavy for him if he lost his daughter. Larry would decide to shoot Duck himself, saving Kenny the emotional burden that would come from it. He would walk with Kenny into the woods instead of Katjaa, saving her from her own demise as well. The group would hear the gunshot, signaling that Larry took care of everything. The meetup with Krista and Omid would play out the same way, with just a few dialogue changes for the surviving characters. We'll skip to the later events of episode 4 since Larry's heart condition prevents him from being too active. The group would realize that they need to find supplies after Clementine discovers the boat, and Omid's infected leg gets worse. They plan their infiltration to Crawford with the info of Vernon and Bree. Molly, being a new addition to the group, suggests that someone stays back to watch Omid and Larry, as they won't be much help in their current state. Katjaa and Lily decide to stay back to keep an eye on them. The sequence in Crawford would play out similar to canon, only Ben's screw-up with the door doesn't take place. However, when Lee opens the door near the stairs, they discover a herd, and chaos ensues. Bree dies like in canon, but the rest of the group makes it back with medicine and parts for the boat. Larry shows gratitude to Lee, and Lily would hug him. Larry notices that Lee is looking for Clementine, and decides to help him. They come across the walkie-talkie from hearing the static. Suddenly, a walker would pop out and try to bite Lee, but Larry pushes him out of the way and is the one bitten instead. The group would find out in the next couple of minutes. Lily says they can try to cut his arm off with the butcher knife in the house, but Larry tells them not to. He urges Lee to find Clementine and forget about him. Lee would check the morgue with Kenny, hoping to find Clementine with Vernon, but like the original story, Clementine isn't there, and Lee is met with a message from the stranger. They make their way back to the house to discover the boat was taken, and their group is trapped in the garage. Eventually, walkers corner the group, forcing them up the stairs. Lily trips and falls to the ground, but Larry would pick her up, yelling at her to stay in front of him. The group had to make their way to the attic. A walker would try to grab Lily, but Larry would pull her away and push her towards the ladder. She yells at him to come up, but he tells her no. Knowing this is his final hour, Larry uses every ounce of strength he has left. He picks up the gun that Lee dropped on the floor and tosses it to him. He yells at Lee, and tells him to find Clem and to take care of his daughter. Larry would shut the attic door before anyone could respond or act, saving his daughter the pain of seeing his last stand. And well, guys, that is what I think could have happened had Larry had survived in episode 2. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new, and please keep pouring out comments and suggestions for this. I really do appreciate all the suggestions you guys have been sending me, and be sure to stick around for the next one because the next one is going to be pretty good too. I'll see you all in the next video. 2 cents out.